it's Kristie, creator of Ashramsa Wellness,
and Paige, writer at Healing Spaces,
and you're watching
Real Talk. This is a safe space that we wanted to create for us to get vulnerable, real, and raw, and undress all of the insecurities that live beneath the surface.
We're so excited that you're here. So if you're enjoying it, please like, comment, and subscribe. So now it's time to get real.
Yay!
Okay, today we have a hot topic for you.
And it's a doozy, let me tell you.
We're going to be talking about insecurities. So when Paige and I started talking about doing this, we were so excited, so fired up, ready to do this every single week. We're just like on top of the world. And then, like we scaled it back like we talked about, and we kind of got a little more realistic. But then individually, in our quiet moments, we each started experiencing some serious insecurities.
Yes, it definitely, this whole project and moving forward with it was a very exciting experience and feeling, but then also turned into like panic and a lot of fear, and triggered some serious old wounds that I think we both might have thought we were a little further in healing. And so, it's kind of a doozy. It's kind of a doozy when that happens and you're just like going on with life, experiencing things, and all of a sudden your internal self is like, oh, no, this is not what we do. This is not what we do. I feel like it's taken us both a lot of work to be able to find our footing and get grounded in what we want to do and create here. Yeah. I know for me personally, like yesterday was a doozy, but fortunately enough, with like an SOS call to this
a real talk,
just not as graceful of a real talk. But yeah, like I feel like I was able to kind of get comfortable in some of that discomfort and really find my way through it.
Yes.
Obviously, it's not healed completely. It's probably not ever going to be. That's the journey itself. But I feel like I'm proud of us for both kind of giving that to ourselves.
Yeah.
Especially as we are crazy busy with our jobs, our kids, and life itself. So
I was going to say, and I think it's a really great testament that I do feel like sometimes people look at us and what we're doing and what we're creating, and they just like think, wow, they're doing so well and they're really like far along. So I think us talking about this really shows that, it is which we kind of talked about last time. It's like a back and forth process. Like healing is not a one-way street, and some things that you think you're over, they're going to come up, and they're going to come up just in a different way and a different time. And it's just something but once you start healing and you have tools, you can tackle it a little more smoother, a little more like gracefully. But it's important for you guys to know that like we're struggling too. And it's just something that we have to navigate and get through. And we're just kind of hoping to share that journey with you.
Yeah, and I think it's like you can get some perspective on it afterwards and see where growth has actually happened.
Yeah.
So even though my moment happened yesterday morning and, it felt very intense and very extreme, I knew that I had to get it out of my body in some way.
Yes.
And so rather than going to work and projecting that onto every single person I encountered, I was able to be like, okay, reach out to a safe person and ask them if they have the capacity to walk you through this. And I think that's a really important thing. There's like, for us to be able to like start into it, like, hey, do you have the space for this?
Yes, I was going to say that and that's actually something that like Rudy now uses with me, like we use with each other.
Yeah.
Because yes, it is like when you have a person that you feel safe with, that you can have these conversations with, I think it shows a lot of respect. I don't know when we started doing this, but every time we have like this thing, we're like, hey, do you have the capacity to have a conversation? Because, you know, that's giving the other person some time to get themselves ready and to be in a state of mind where they can give like good. Positive feedback rather than like, oh yeah, my day is shit too. Life sucks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
it doesn't like feed the tornado that's already happening in your mind. And so you can feel safer. They can feel safer.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of walk through that together, you know, supportively.
Yes.
It's not like this person, like she didn't jump in and immediately try and fix what I was going through. She was just a really good soundboard for what I was spiraling about. And we'll talk about like those insecurities, but I just think that it's important to mention that because sometimes people just like vomit their emotions on you. Yeah. I've had it happen. I've done it to other people. Yeah. And I think that in our growth and in our journeys, like it's really important to recognize when you kind of overcome that and you have the ability to regulate yourself enough. Yeah. To be able to like use that tool and like, okay, do you have the space for this? And if you don't, that's okay. And then you can kind of like go to your next tool in your toolkit or your next safe person, whichever it may be.
And I think it allows the person who is seeking that conversation to feel some relief. Like, okay, I'm not overbearing or over, because that like you said, we've done it before in the past. You know, you would like spill your guts and then you'd be like, oh my gosh. Like then you suddenly like, feel bad for kind of like overwhelming that person. And this gives you, again, just more safety in that conversation and feeling like you're not overwhelming somebody.
Yes, because especially if it's an old wound that you felt like you have healed, you already like there can already be that sense of like guilt and anger at yourself for still dealing with it in that way or still allowing it to affect you. Then there's another layer of guilt if you dump it all onto another person and they're not in the space to like help you through it. So, you know, it just adds to the spiral. Yeah. And so you're kind of like, you're allowing yourself some space there to be able to navigate that more clearly. And I want to be sure to say that if you don't have a safe person that you feel like that you can emotionally connect with or find support from, there's beautiful resources all over, and I highly encourage everybody to seek counsel, to seek therapy, to find a healer of some sort in whatever realm you feel comfortable with, to have those safe conversations with, because it can be so lonely if you don't have that. Everybody has a right to feel heard. Yes. And so, I just wanted to throw that in there. It's like really encourage you that if you don't have a safe person, you know, ask yourself why. And then, you know, dig deep to be able to kind of discover how you want to go about finding that, creating that with a relationship you already have, or, you know, seeking someone elsewhere that can help navigate that with you.
Absolutely. And I would also say, I mean, I'm speaking for both of us, but to reach out. Yes. We might not have the answer, but I feel like we have a lot of resources and connected to other people where we can guide people to the right resource or the one that we think would like maybe help you the best. So please feel free to reach out.
Absolutely. Because yes, we are not medical professionals.
Yes.
Disclaimer. We are not medical professionals. So this is just all based on our own experience. Yeah. And so, going into our experience, do you want to share first about some of your own personal?
So I do want to say really quick, because I'll forget this thought, but when you were talking about how I was your soundboard, and I wasn't necessarily giving you like the fix, I just want to say I fully believe we all have the answer that we need already in us. Yeah. Like we have that power already in us. And sometimes it is truly talking it out, writing it out for you to be able to see what that true answer is or what that true tool is. So I do think like we all have that power within us, and that's just something that I think women need to know.
Yes, I love that. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
I knew I would forget that thought of it.
This will get lost in my brain.
Yeah, so as soon as we started talking about doing this, I was so like lit up, so fired up, ready to do this. And then I think like secretly I was like, oh crap. So I just had like, I mean, a million insecurities, we all do, but one that like has always stood out to me, especially you and I doing this together, was my like personality and my intellect. So I've always, Paige is the most lovable person.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody that you just get along with people so well. And I know at times in my life I have seemed a little off-putting because I have been more reserved. I feel like through my healing journey, I've kind of not been as reserved or like shielded up. But
you have opened up. You have blossomed like a flower.
I am trying. But I was like, oh my gosh, like nobody's gonna like me. That was just my thought. It was like, you know, of course they're gonna love Paige. Everybody loves Paige, as they should. But I'm like, just gonna be like, not like people are gonna be like, who is that girl sitting next to? So I was really struggling with that and just kind of feeling, sorry, I have like a hair in my face, just feeling not enough, you know, like just those old wounds. And then another issue like that kind of goes with this, which is also probably the reason that I've always been more on the quiet side, is that I've always felt not intelligent. Like I've always struggled with my speech and just, I don't ever want to say the wrong thing. Like I will keep quiet and I'll think about what I want to say. And I think in my quietness, it sometimes makes people uncomfortable. Like, you know, that I'm just kind of observing. But I basically, which I don't know if I've told you this story, but I basically missed like phonics in school. Like I have learned more from my kids coming home talking about phonics and like sounding out words than I learned in school, because I missed it, because that's when my heart, I was like in and out of doctor's offices. So I've just always struggled with my speech, and it's been a massive, like trying to run a business online in this kind of world has been terrifying for me. Like trying to be more visible, put yourself out there, be more authentic. It's like, it's freaking scary, because what if people don't like me? Yeah. And it's like, people aren't like, that's the thing. Like not everybody's gonna like you know, I joke with my clients that my book one day will be like, not everybody's shot of whiskey. But in my heart, I'm like, but I want to be everybody. No. You know, it's just like a little bitter taste after. No, but so it's just something that I've always struggled with just like the fear. I think it's truly a fear. I don't know, a fear of people not liking me. Yeah. And what is it that I need that validation of people to like me when I'm truly, it's okay. Like, it's okay to not be liked by every single person. But just like struggling through that, comparing myself to you. We're very different. Like, we're not ever going to be the same, nor should we, or we wouldn't be doing this. Yeah. But just, it was like, yeah, sitting next to Paige, like, nobody's going to like me. Like, that's just kind of like some of the thoughts that were coming up for me. And that, yeah, like we talked through.
I mean, well, I just want to say, I just want to celebrate the fact of like how vulnerable you just were in sharing that, because this shit's hard.
I know.
So like every time we express a little bit more vulnerability with each other, with the world, like I just think it's super important to celebrate. So thank you for sharing that.
Well, thank you for celebrating me.
Yeah, you're freaking fantastic. But I don't want to say that like invalidating your feelings, because your feelings are valid. That's the thing.
Yeah.
We might feel one way and the world might not perceive it.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make it any less real inside of us.
Yeah, it's like a real, and it's, you know, it's a real thing. Like majority of people that I encounter do like I get along with different types of people, but there's just something, and I truly think it's the online world that's really the scariest, because people are so brave behind their computers. Because I've gotten crappy comments on social media, on Instagram, by posting, you know, things. I've had very, very like crappy comments that have just kind of like stopped my day and been like, wow, but you know what? It's a total stranger. It shouldn't matter, but it just does for some reason.
Yeah, it's hard. Well, that fear of, and this, you might not necessarily resonate with this word completely, but like that fear of rejection.
Yeah.
That fear of rejection is so real. And whether it stems from, you know, like an intellectual place or like a personality, whatever it is that you feel like that fear of rejection about, you know, we create patterns to keep ourselves safe in the world and to avoid that. Like our brain will actually rewire itself to be like, no, I don't ever want to experience that again.
Yeah, probably why I had that shield for majority of my life. And I seemed kind of like an a-hole because it just was like this shield to protect myself. That was how if I didn't speak, if I like the reading out loud in classrooms.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, would that like literally send me over the edge? Like I would like try reading ahead, and if somebody had to pronounce a word for me, I would literally want to just like crawl in a hole.
Aww.
And so I was just like, but yet, like you said, like I just put that protective shield. It's like if I don't put myself out there, nobody's going to think I'm smart or dumb because they're not going to know.
Yeah, I'm so sorry that you had to go through that feeling. And to piggyback on that, you know, you're showering me with all these wonderful compliments. But the reason for me, like my shield, my protector, you know, you viewing it as everybody loving me or, you know, seeing that and like gravitating towards it. I have become extremely good in my life of becoming what other people want me to be so that they will love me. Also not healthy.
Don't do that.
Don't recommend, but it was a protective, again, a protective shield for me that just came out in a different way. You went walls up. I went like walls all the way down, welcomed it all in. Become, you know, this circus monkey and chameleon for whoever and wherever I was at and, you know, surrounded by. So I think that, what we view other people going through and what really lives inside of them it's just so different.
It is.
And you just never know. Like you never really know. And I do agree what you said earlier, how people view us very differently than what we view ourselves.
Yeah.
You know, and just being in a small town and being well known and things like that, it's a real thing. And then you can kind of feel that imposter syndrome.
Yes. Yeah, which we talked about this week.
Yeah.
And that is a very real, especially, you know, we're trying to do this and create this beautiful space for women. And then for us to experience these major insecurities, it was like, ooh, like, should we be doing, like, you know, I had that thought, like, should I be doing this? Like, who am I?
Yeah.
Who am I to be, you know, talking with women and teaching them how to overcome hardships and to find self-love when I'm struggling to have self-love in this moment?
Yeah. Yeah. And we talked about that yesterday, you know, even. And so I think for both of us, it really came to this space of, well, let's talk about it. Like, let's get real about it. Let's let them into our space of this feeling, because it's universal, especially in women and in men too. But we have to give it voice so that we can heal it and that we can heal it together.
Yeah.
And so did you have more that you wanted, I think, to share with that, or do you want me to?
I think more will probably come up, but it just is. That's kind of where most of my insecurity was happening for like coming online next to you.
Yeah. And so then also for me and my experience, mine was definitely coming from a physical place. I have always felt this very deep insecurity about my body and about my appearance and about the way in which people view me, again, because of that fear of rejection, finding my value in the way that I looked, because that's so easy for women to do.
Yeah.
And it's just always felt to an even more extreme detriment within me. So yeah, my heart's like racing.
I know, I was shaking. It's okay. I was shaking through mine, but we got through it.
But yeah, so like I had this moment yesterday where I was getting dressed and I just felt like a tightness in my clothes. And that sensory feeling of like my underwear feeling tighter, my pants feeling tighter, my cheeks feeling like puffy, you know, whatever it is, physically. And it just sent me into a spiral. I have always had a curvier body. I've always had, you know, my bum's a little bit bigger. I've got like, you know, curvier thighs. And I think part of that insecurity is just because that has been an actual topic of conversation from so many men, but also just people in general, my entire life.
Yep.
And so that reaction, it's not that you can't appreciate compliments or, you know, that's like a whole topic for another time. But I think because that has always, my looks and my body had always attracted so much attention that it fueled what I felt my value was, but then created this very unhealthy mental cycle in my mind. And it's not like this has healed. This was yesterday. It's created this very obsessive thought pattern with my body, with food, and with exercise. And so again, like, you know, when it comes to fitness, when it comes to food, when it comes to physique, like we've always been very different.
Very different, yeah.
Since we were 13 and 14 years old. And so be next to you, again, like we don't, like we can compare ourselves to people that we have known and loved the most and known our entire lives. And it's just kind of like it fires up all of those insecurities about my body and about the way that I look, the way that I show up, and the confidence that I feel physically within my own skin. And so as I've come to recognize that in myself and come to realize how significantly it was still affecting me, like this was part of the conversation that we shared when we decided to come up with all of this. I was just like, I don't know if I've ever even really expressed how significantly this lives inside my mind and my body.
Yeah.
It can really take out an entire day for me, or it can take out hours of my energy. And so realizing how detrimental that had been, and then realizing how much I had like hid it internally, suppressed it, all of this process really was like, okay, we're bringing it to the surface because you're actually going to be right next to each other. And it's not even that, like, I can look at you and be like, oh my gosh, you're so beautiful and you're so physically fit and you're so, you know, like the list can go on and on and on. But then when I would find myself examining everything about me physically, like, okay, how do my hips look in this? And how does my stomach look in this? And how do my cheeks look in this? And it's so terrible to my own self, because then you just see all of the things that you don't like.
Yeah.
And with that, I really had to come to a place of like, okay, I really want to love my body. I really want to love my body. And I just honestly don't know how.
Yep.
Because we're not really ever given the tools to know how to love our bodies. We're just given standards to try and meet that are absolutely impossible when it comes to how you show up online. And, you know, now you can slap a filter on anything and it completely alters your face. And so, yeah, it was just something that really like boiled to the surface. And as you were a very safe, supportive place for me to talk this through and talk about, I really like came to this understanding that this doesn't affect me as deeply as it used to, because it doesn't last as long. I'm also like trying to celebrate myself for giving it a voice rather than suffering in silence and just letting that irritation overcome my day. And I also, a big thing, which I didn't even share this with you. So like I woke up feeling this thing, and I mean, I was like crying. I was like crying, and because I was not only like in this place of hating myself, but I was also mad at myself for feeling that way still. But like 10 years ago, when a lot of this really started, becoming a mother so young was a really big thing, because your body changes after you have kids. But like 10 years ago, I would have limited all my food. Like if I would have had a moment like that in the morning, I would have significantly limited my intake of food. And now, thankfully, because I'm further through my healing journey, because I have done a lot of research and attained a lot of knowledge when it comes to how to nurture my body, your beautiful brain and all of the wisdom that you give me all the time, I did not do that. And so that was like one thing. By yesterday afternoon, I was like, okay, Kristie would be so mad at me for under eating. I'm not going to do that. And so like that was like a huge thing for me, because normally, I would limit my food intake, which is really sad. But I did not. I was like, nope, I'm going to make a smoothie. I'm going to have a really good snack. I'm going to eat lunch. I'm going to eat a full dinner. And then I had a snack after dinner. So I ate like a full day's of food, even though I had that mental spiral.
I'm so proud of you. Seriously, that like, I am so freaking proud of you, because I mean, like I'm not going to like get into coaching, but I mean, that's, the last thing that you need to do is to restrict your food, and for you to think of it, to have that thought, like that we talked about, like, no, I need to nurture my body. I'm just so proud of you.
Thank you.
And that's so much growth. Like you said, you recognizing and celebrating that much growth, and the fact that, this was a bad day, a bad start to your morning. But then here we are today. You wouldn't have been doing that 10 years ago.
No.
And I think that's so beautiful. And again, that's what we mean by like this healing journey. It is a process, and it's not ending, and it's very long, but it is so, so worth it.
Yeah, for sure. And I appreciate that. Because of, your support and, my growth, it was like literally this moment and while I was in that moment, when you're in those moments, it feels like you're never going to get out. Like it's like this vice grip on your heart, and you're just like, it can take you to your knees.
Yeah, it's suffocating
so quickly. And so in that moment, I was just like, I am the same person and in the same place that I was 10 years ago. But I gave it a couple hours, and I gave it a couple hours, and I gave myself some food. I drank a lot of water, and I got a good night's rest.
Yeah.
So like all of those fundamental things that are really important to taking care of ourselves mentally, emotionally, and physically, were not tools I would have leaned on 10 years ago.
No, neither one of us.
Yeah. And so I think it's beautiful when you can get some perspective and see the growth, celebrate the growth, and understand that, okay, even though in that moment my mind was telling me you're still the same person, you're very much not the same person.
Yeah.
And so that big thing of like not under eating, because I still struggle with that. Yeah. I mean, we talk about it all the time. Like, I am terrible at under eating because, number one, I get busy, or number two, if like I'm feeling insecure in my body, then that's
like your automatic response is to under eat.
Yeah. And so trying to rewire that pattern takes time. the next time I might not do that. The next time I might catch myself making a different choice. And that's okay. That's the beauty. That's the growth.
Yeah.
Now granted, the more I undo that pattern, hopefully, the less and less that I choose that route.
Yeah.
And the less and less, we can, I don't know, really sink into that feeling that our thoughts are always valid and that they're always true.
Yeah.
Our thoughts are not always true. We can create so many thoughts based on fear and based on anxiety and
based on our circumstance. Like, your thoughts don't have to be, you can kind of determine your thoughts and change your circumstance in a way. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's just, our thoughts are so powerful. They dictate the actions that we take.
Yeah.
Which is going to create the outcome of our lives. So really trying to stop in that, and that's what you did. You stopped in a way that's like, you didn't stop your whole day. You just gave yourself some space. And it really takes giving yourself some space, taking a breath, and coming from, like what you said, a different perspective.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to walk away from the situation, whether it's an insecurity, an argument, a decision. You have to take a step away and just take that 20,000 foot view perspective of the circumstance, and then really kind of try to decide, how do I want to feel about this? Like, what do I want to do about this?
Yeah, and that self-awareness is just, it's
massive growth.
It's massive growth, and it's a key to us being able to sit with our insecurities, get uncomfortable with them, and then very slowly, baby steps, move past them.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard too, because, the outside world can view, they could view me and my physical body and my face and be like, what's this chick talking about? Are you kidding me? Like, seriously, you're going to complain, or seriously, you're going to, in the same way that they can see how much and how often you show up online in a beautiful way, and then be like, really? Like, are you really insecure because you make these cute reels all the time, and, like you have your workout videos on here. So people can, the people in the world can fuel those insecurities when they invalidate them. And so I think that it's important for us to give permission to women that your feelings are valid. Your insecurities are valid, no matter what anybody else thinks of them.
Yes.
And it's okay for you to deal with something or have this feeling inside of you that other people don't understand.
Yeah.
You can be misunderstood. That's okay.
Yeah.
And so in that, like, I hope that people can see, like, as we share these things that we're insecure about, that other people may not view that way.
Yeah.
That
it's true. It's a real thing.
It doesn't make them any less authentic or any less genuine. Like, these are things that we're actively dealing with. So if there's something that you're dealing with and that you're afraid to put voice to because you're afraid of what the world will say or think about them, give yourself permission to be misunderstood. Yeah. Give yourself permission to be real about how you feel inside. Because if you're not,
if you keep it bottled up or shielded, then, like, nothing is ever going to change. The way that you feel, you're going to always feel that way. Like, you're not going to grow. So once you start letting that shield down and stop suppressing your insecurities or even brushing them away, it really, once you start doing that, opening up, it really does change. And you really will heal piece by piece, chip by chip. Like we both said, it's a whole progress. There's not an end game here, but it really does change your life.
Yeah.
I mean,
for sure.
I don't know, corny as that.
No, but it's absolutely true. And I think that it's so important for us to not invalidate our own feelings as well. You know, saying somebody else has it worse.
Yeah.
Or because somebody else has something different, or they're struggling in a different way, that's worse than what I'm going through. Well, when you invalidate your own feelings too, you're not giving yourself the opportunity to make those baby steps forward.
You're not listening to your body. And so your body's going to fight against you. Your body wants to be understood. It wants to be heard. It wants you to do something about the way that it's feeling.
Yeah, and our bodies are, these vessels are a beautiful gift that we've been given, and the world has basically taught us to ignore them and to suppress them. And I think the more we listen to our body, the louder it will get, and the more powerful it will get. And that literally will change the world.
Yeah.
Like, that will literally change the world. The more work we do on ourselves, not by blaming somebody else, not by trying to fix somebody else, not by trying to be somebody else, will we make a difference in the world. Being who we truly are, honoring our feelings, honoring our truth, and doing the work within, like, that is the way that we change the world.
Absolutely. And like you said, and I just want to say to you, because I didn't get a chance to, like, your feelings are valid. I mean, obviously, I tell you all the time how stunning you are, but like you said to me, it's, you know, we see a different picture about ourselves, and I find you absolutely beautiful, and many people do, but what is important is how you feel about yourself. And so, you know, finding that in yourself, but your feelings, no matter what I think about your beauty, your feelings are valid. But I'm just so proud of you by the choices that you made yesterday, and like that growth. Like, that's so amazing. And kind of you talking about setting in those feelings and having those insecurities and being okay with them. Like, there is one thing, especially in my world, that has become kind of popular, is like this, the like fake positivity, or, you know, toxic positivity. I don't know if I like that word, but like, you know, I try to come from a place of helping women become more positive about their bodies, but you can't just band-aid that. It's okay to have these feelings, like these negative feelings, because you need to experience them and sit with them and find where they're coming from in order to heal. You don't need to hide it or cover it up or band-aid it. You know, even for me, who's, you know, trying to teach women about self-love, and I have insecurities about my body as well. So it's really important for us to say, like, you don't have to be fake positive.
Yeah.
You know, like, we want to inspire positivity, but we want to inspire, like, authenticity first and foremost.
Yes. I agree with that 1,000%. And I think that it's super important for people to get in touch with those feelings versus just trying, like you said to me yesterday, don't just switch the thought, you know, like, don't just like just think that you're going to be able to think differently.
Yeah.
You have to be able to feel what this is so that your belief can change about yourself, which was super powerful.
Yeah.
So thank you.
You're welcome.
And I think that as we both have sat here and shared about these insecurities that we also can play against each other.
Yeah.
You know, like, in comparison to each other, I think it's so important to say, like, it's so normal for women to compare themselves to others.
Yeah.
And then if they get, rather than dealing or sitting with those feelings, being open and vulnerable about them, it's really easy to get bitter and resentful
I was
internally. Like, so the fact that you can, like, being able to voice it in a way that is real and raw and authentic and vulnerable, I'm not taking it personally.
Yeah.
And you're not taking it personally, because it's not like I'm looking at you and you've made me feel this way.
Yeah.
You didn't make me feel this way. This feeling has lived inside of me. And so me giving voice to it allows us both to be vulnerable in an open space and both move forward in our insecurities in different ways. Ever since, like, especially with little girls, like, you know, you hear that all the time, like, oh, she's just jealous of you. And that is a topic and a phrase that I really want to remove from a standard pick of the line when it comes to young girls
like
dealing with things.
Yeah.
Or even adult women.
Yeah.
Because we just never know. You never know what somebody else is going through.
Yeah.
Like, you absolutely never know. And so I just think that it's so important to be able to recognize when we can move through insecurities. And even when we are comparing ourselves to somebody else, understanding that it's about us and our feelings and not about the other person, and not blaming the other person.
Yeah, absolutely. Did I cut you off?
No,
okay.
Go ahead.
Because I was thinking of that earlier when we were like talking to each other about that, and how it's truly beautiful that we don't resent each other. And maybe we did once upon a time.
Yeah.
I can't really remember. But that is typically what happens. Because how many times, because I've struggled with my body, and we're going to talk about insecurities probably endlessly. And comparing my body to like women online and hating that woman who I've never spoken to, who knows what is actually going on in her life and in her heart. She's not a bad person just because I view her prettier than me. You know what I mean? And so just that comparing that, and how detrimental that can be to the way you view people in the world and how you show up. Like when you're just full of resentment and hate towards people, when truly you have to go inside and you got to find out why you feel that way.
Yeah, and I feel like in my experience, it's normally because I'm not allowing myself to get real and get vulnerable about what's going on inside of me.
Yeah.
And the more that we lean into that bitterness and that resentment and project it onto other people, the more guilt and shame we feel inside. Because when we see something in somebody else and it creates that bitterness or resentment, it's normally like this big shining arrow pointing back at us. That's like, hey, you need to look at something here. You just have to have enough self-awareness, support, and love and safety to be able to do those things and to go within there and view that. So yeah, I think that is definitely like a really powerful, something like you said, we will probably,
it's like kind of
endlessly, but it's storming.
We're going to blow away.
We might.
But yeah, I think we want to at some point get into like women relationships and all of that. But I just think you bringing up the topic of that, our insecurities that we see sitting next to each other doesn't reflect how we feel about each other. Yeah. Because that would be devastating.
Yeah. And like you said, I'm sure we've had those moments, probably more so like high school.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
I mean, it's like the stomping ground for like the creation of so many of these patterns and stuff. But even then, we didn't have the emotional maturity to sit and talk about them. But I think that's part of our hope in having these conversations now, is to allow, the people, the women who watch this, to give them permission to like get vulnerable about those thoughts and those feelings, to feel validated, for our daughters to have these conversations and create the ability to have these conversations sooner in their life. They're going to have it. They're going to deal with it. Yeah. But if they can find the tools a little bit sooner, and also for any men who watch these, we can give you a lot of insight to what goes on in a woman's brain.
Yes. Yes. We can help out.
So
it's pretty easy.
I know. Gosh. But yeah, so I feel like that's super powerful, and it's the ripple effect. The ripple effect can really make a big impact.
Yeah. Yeah, and the sooner that you start doing this, your daughters will see it, and your nieces or whoever is in your life. I mean, that ripple effect, like we've kind of talked about, that's what we hope to create, is a ripple effect of women joining this conversation, getting vulnerable and getting a little uncomfortable, so that you can grow and become the version of you that you want to be, that you desire to be. Because I truly think that happens when you get a little uncomfortable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, like I said earlier, it's like it was this idea of I really want to love myself, like love my body. And I just don't know how. You know, it's like when you can see this thing or this person or this version of yourself that you really want to be, it's not about me becoming what other people want me to be anymore. It's about me becoming the version of myself that I feel whole and I feel truly accepted by myself and loved by myself, that like that's who I want to be. And so taking the steps to get there.
Yeah.
Not basing it on the value that another person gives me.
Yes, yeah. Not seeking external validation. I mean, that's something that I've journeyed through in the last year, is finding my own validation and my personality, my intelligence, my looks, because my validation used to be in everybody else's hands. And so really trying to take that for myself truly has created a big change in the way that I show up, and probably being able to do this, frankly.
For sure.
I mean, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. It's a journey, and it's a little scary, but when you have somebody by your side, or, you know, we're by your side, it does make it a little less scary.
Yeah. We're stronger together.
Yeah.
All of us. And it's the separation of that connection that creates so much loneliness and isolation between women and between humans.
Between women.
And really that if we can jump over that hurdle slowly, I think that is like all we could ask for. Is if we can all feel more connected so that we can heal together.
I love that. And I have definitely seen that because of my insecurity of my personality, I isolated myself for many years. You know, like I would skip on girls' night, or, you know, dodge going out to eat or whatever, have an excuse, because I just felt so uncomfortable in my own skin. And now that I have taken steps to like slowly come out of that, I have gotten closer with people, and I've had more actual human connection. And like you said, that has made a huge change in my life and in my health. Like we truly need, because I used to think like I did not need human connection.
Yeah.
I could be a hermit, it would be totally fine. But we do. It's really vital for our growth and for our health, and especially when you get women together, like things change.
Yeah, like for sure.
When you empower women, get in a room full of women, it's just like an energy that is just beautiful.
Yeah. And I'm grateful to have that and to be a part of that with you and with our circle, you know, and with all of you out here. Because it definitely feels really good.
Yeah.
It feels like a really good place to be.
And I appreciate you never giving up on me.
Really? Yeah. Come on now. I'm like that little person just like running after you, like, hey, you're not getting away. Sorry.
I'm trying.
I've attached myself to you. You're never getting away from me.
I love it.
Yeah. I'm like the leech on your back. You're like, can you like give me some space? I'm like, no space.
No space. Yeah, I do like my personal space, but that's all right. That's okay.
Yeah, I know, but no, yeah, it's a beautiful place to be. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate this. This is wonderful.
It was wonderful, and I hope you guys enjoyed our really scary, uncomfortable conversation. Like we're thankful for you to be here, and we hope to continue to do this.
Yeah. I mean, even as, like I said earlier, my heart was pounding. Yeah. Sweating a bit. Yeah. It's really incredible. So yeah, thank you all so much for being here with us.
And if you enjoyed this, remember to like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you thought of it. Send us your wins. Send us your
oh shit moments. Your insecure moments. Yes. Like all of the things are welcome. And yeah, follow Kristie on Instagram and Facebook at A Strong Soul Wellness. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Our Healing Spaces.